I am excited for today's Libsyn live stream. My name is Brian Coddington. I'm the video designer and editor here and a podcaster myself, and I want to welcome you all today to this very, very special Libsyn live stream where we're going to be talking about everything having to do with what's a subject that I think every podcaster feels, and that is how to get back some time, right? How to get some time so that you're producing your show, but you're also like living, right? So, and part of that is learning when to outsource and navigating the world of outsourcing your podcast production. And we've got some great guests that I can't wait to talk to you all about. But before I get to that, I, of course, have some housekeeping. There's always housekeeping, right? So with that said, the first piece of housekeeping is this. If you're here and this is the first time you've come here, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right there in the corner. I think it's somewhere around the corner there, as well as the like and the little bell, because that is how you get the best information from us. That is how you know exactly when a live is coming out, when a new video is dropping, and we are putting out content all the time here. Okay, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe. It does a world of good for us. Outside of that, and speaking of things that are coming, if you came to this live, you do not want to miss next week's live, because myself and Elsie Escobar, our director of community and content, is going to be talking about getting your podcast seen. What's that? Seen? Yes, seen on video first platforms, things like YouTube and now Spotify. So we're going to be talking about how to get your podcast, your video podcast, or your audio podcast, if you're looking to dive into video, onto these platforms. It's going to be on July 31st at 2 p.m. And let me tell you something. This is a subject that I feel very deeply about because I have my own podcast up on YouTube and I've transitioned to that video first platform. And there are some tricks and techniques that you are not going to want to miss. Things like, how do I, optimize my video podcast for YouTube? How do I do thumbnails that are actually going to get people to click? All of the things that go into making a video podcast work on YouTube and on Spotify, we are going to be talking about, so you don't want to miss that one. Outside of that, I do have a coupon code for you all. So if you're looking at podcasting, if you haven't yet chosen a host, and you want to choose Libsyn, use the coupon code LearnLive right here to get 1 month free. Use that coupon code right there. You can get 1 month of free hosting from Libsyn right there. LearnLive is the coupon code. Now, outside of that, I got one little piece of housekeeping that I got to talk about. I know that there are going to be a ton of questions and a ton of comments. Make sure to put those questions in the chat. Do me a favor, though. When you do, to keep myself sane, and that's important that I keep myself sane, do me a favor and put a Q followed by a colon for all questions in the chat. That is just going to make it easier for me and for our team. We've got the Libsyn team here who are going to be looking at the questions and making sure that we get them organized in a way so that we'll get all your questions answered. Because I know that there's going to be a lot of questions about how to outsource. Now, without further ado, let me introduce my guests here today. They are from Bunny Studio, your one-stop shop for everything from premium quality voiceovers to video and audio post-production services and everything in between. Let's give a warm welcome to Jonathan Sanchez, who is the operations manager from Bunny Studio, as well as Maria Alejandro Ceballos, who is the senior account manager from Bunny Studio and representing a podcaster who has used their services. We have with us today Cody Merrill who is the podcast host and producer of the MidCon Markup podcast. Welcome, everyone, to this very special live stream. How you all doing?
Amazing. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. It's
Hi, everyone.
It's a little not as hot as it's been in Pittsburgh the past couple of days. So it's good. It's good. But I'm glad to have you all here because I know for me, I'm a podcaster who produces everything himself. And whenever you talk to a podcaster and they're like, how are you doing it? How are you actually making it work long term? Oftentimes they say you got to learn when to outsource and when to kind of take some of those production elements that maybe you do on your own and move them off to a third party. So I guess I'll start it off just, Cody, this is more for you, but, why should a podcaster or content creator who has been doing this on their own long term, why should they look to hire an outside talent? And what has kind of been your experience with that?
Well, I think every podcaster has to evaluate their own situation and their own needs. There's no one size fits all for anybody, but for me in particular, it was just a tremendous fit, and it's because I started a podcast that was in support of my main job, which was working for a venture capital firm. So we were trying to promote not only what we were doing with venture capital in the state of Oklahoma, but within the entire region. And a big part of our branding initiative was this podcast, and we wanted to be associated with being thought leaders in that space. And since we are managing millions of dollars, about $100 million of assets under management, we couldn't afford to start with low quality production. We really needed a high quality production from the get go. And, my whole life isn't based around the podcast. The podcast supports other business goals that I have. So it's really important that I can focus on key strategic decisions and operational execution within the business context and let professionals handle everything on the back end. And so I already had camera skills. I know how to set things up. I know how to structure the lighting, the production, the recording. I can handle that on the front end, but I just don't have enough hours in the day to do all of that legwork. And I haven't accumulated the expertise to be a professional editor, to know how to work with graphics. There's all these little things that go into creating a polished product that Bunny Studio does for me on the back end and returns time to my life and really makes the whole operation feasible.
So to that said, I mean, what have you been doing with that extra time now that you've got it free, right? I mean, I know for me, I do everything as I'm a control freak in that sense. But I know the struggle of like, hey, you've got to get an episode out. And so that means you got to record it, and then you've got to edit it, and then you got to do all the marketing that goes with it. And if it's video, that's the whole other beast to that. So, now that you've had that, what have you been doing with your free time?
Well, I don't know if I would call it free time because work is always central to everything that I do, but I do maintain a pretty healthy addiction to golf, pickleball, table tennis as well, anything competitive. But when it comes to work, it really allows me to travel more and invest in personal relationships with people who I view as gatekeepers for other domains of my life. So it's really about living my life, maintaining relationships, trying to create this sort of meta broker network experience as a career journey, and having somebody help me with these branding assets, creating podcasts that are evergreen assets that are going to live online forever, to have polish and to just get them out the door.
Right.
Getting them out the door is such a big deal. And lots of creators, I feel like, will identify with me that we have perfectionist tendencies. Mm-hmm. And if we're stuck editing, it's just talk about a nightmare, just like a vacuum suck of time. Hand it off. Let somebody else do it. Let them take the baton, and then publish, stay on schedule, and then focus on the other elements of growing your audience, but also living your life.
Yeah. I got to ask, what was your time management before getting involved with Bunny Studio and offloading that? Was it like a night and day type of situation?
Yeah, well, I just never really invested the time to become a competent editor. And so everything that I did in Premiere, I was having to go to YouTube, and then I was having to go back. So it's not like I had much of a competent workflow to speak of. Everything was extremely painful. And for me, it just made sense as an organization to invest in a professional editor from the get-go, because when we're managing hundreds of millions of dollars of assets, we can't have a low quality production that doesn't fit within our premium brand. So it just always made sense, and they've been super helpful. They've really held my hand as a podcaster because like I know what I want to say creatively, and like I obviously want the podcast to be successful, but I don't understand best practices. Like I don't understand all the different elements to the intro, to the outro, to which clips are best for snips, and having that like professional consultant not only like doing the work for you but providing their expertise just really takes a lot of emotional burden and also time burden, and just like to know that when I'm sleeping somebody's working on this and then it shows up and bam, it's done. Okay, I can go on with my life.
Awesome. Well, Johnny and Maria, as representatives from Bunny Studio, do you want to add a little bit to kind of, why podcasters like Cody and like myself should look at outsourcing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You want to go with Johnny first?
yeah, if that's okay.
For sure.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that I just want to grab from what was just being said here. And the first one is just saving time. That's going to be huge for every podcast creator because while virtually you can do everything, you can actually don't just do everything. And you need to invest your time to what most is going to bring your podcast greater results in return of investment. So, say you are taking 3 hours per day, every day, just to edit your podcast while you're trying to become good at it instead of just delegating that to people that already know how to do that. So Cody here, he from the get-go did that and he doesn't spend that time. But I know that many content creators, and that's one of the biggest regrets they have, is that they didn't delegate like editing from the beginning. So if you take those 3 hours and you focus that on what really matters for your content, how much amazing would that be for you? So if you had 3 extra hours to work on storytelling, how would that reflect on your return of investment of time? If you have 3 extra hours to perfect your workflow so that you can have this machine that runs perfectly so that you can deliver content consistently, because that's very important for you as well. Or if you have extra 3 hours to do networking, to reach out to people so that they can become guests on your podcast or that you go out on their podcast as well, what is that going to do to your audience, to your how you connect with other people? So by delegating this from the get-go, you will be able to free up time to focus on what truly matters for your passion for your podcast, which is creating engaging and authentic content, and also having a better return of investment. And then on the second part of that is just the quality that you will get as well. You cannot be an expert on everything. And Cody here, he had expertise on cameras and lighting and everything, but maybe not audio production. So you want to be a better storyteller, you want to be a better communicator, you want to be able to have better questions and better conversations, but you don't have to be the best audio producer in the world. You can have people that already know how to do that, and they can do that for you, so they can give you back your time, as you mentioned at the beginning, so you can have the best podcast ever and have the most engaging content.
Awesome. Yeah, getting back your time, I think, is a big one. But Maria, do you want to add a little bit to that?
Yeah, I think that the only thing that I could add here, I mean, I agree with everything that Cody and Johnny said. But also, you have to remember that the experts are in those areas. They know what is trending, what is viral, what is actually making that podcast shine or highlight from the other ones. So they know what people are looking at, they know what audiences are really engaging with. So they will help get your content to the next level and really, yeah, at the end of the day, just increase your audience, increase your engagement with your audience, and finally get that polished product that people are looking for. That is what I get from the podcasters that I work with. Like they get that out of the go. So it really helps them just move to the next level when it comes to production.
Awesome. Awesome. Hold on one second. I am not sure why my Stream Deck decided to freeze on me.
All good.
All good.
We can talk about other things. Brian, what question do you have for us
So
now?
I guess as I'm trying to work through the tech here, is, when you're working with a outside source, obviously there is the idea of, you're going to have to work with different, what's the word I'm thinking of? Oh, different deliverables, right? So you might one deliverable, and then you might have to go in and get multiple revisions of that. So how do you go ahead and deal with that?
I think that my advice, or what basically my podcasters around different experiences have told me, first, everything is a learning curve. So you need to be patient at the get-go. You are working with creatives, so that means that you can basically get 1,000 different deliverables. You can get different options for background music, or for sound effects, or for designs, or for social media posts. Like, the opportunities are endless. So my advice always is be patient. Have meetings and checkpoints with the professionals that you work with. Open those spaces to actually brainstorm, share the ideas that you have, share references or examples of what you're looking for. If there was a person that you really admire and you like things from their podcast or from their videos, and you want to do something like that with your content, that is amazing, because that will allow the professionals to actually see and understand what you want. And so from my end, it would be patient. There might be a little bit of bumps in the road while everyone gets kind of aligned and on the same page, but you're working with amazing people. They know what they're doing, so you can trust them and basically share your content with them, and they will do an amazing job. But always open those spaces for feedback and for discussion and brainstorming.
Awesome. I love that. And I mean, it's a thing too, where, is there an issue where, you're working obviously with third party people, right? It's not just, one you're using with the artist. So how do you work with those different artists to try to get that best result from the request for a podcast?
Well, basically here, I would say that to get the best result, what you should do is from the get-go, set really specific ideas on what you want. So let's say that, for example, you want to create snippets or trailers for your podcast. Be really specific on what you need and what you want to receive as a deliverable. And be honest, like, hey, I really like this, but I'm not really digging this music on the background. So do you have any other ideas? Can you bring something different to the table? I want to see something different. And the professionals will work with you. They will understand your feedback, and they will basically work alongside you until you get that final deliverable that you're looking for. So I would say at the beginning, be patient. But everything is a learning curve. So it will just, like Johnny said at the beginning, it will work like a machine later on. So on the second episode, the third episode, all of the professionals will be more aligned and more comfortable with the assets that they're receiving. And it will just be a quicker turnaround time. And the ETAs, you'll see that they will get basically faster. And I just say be a little bit patient on the beginning, and then the result will be magic.
Awesome. Yeah, I think being patient, being open about what those things are important. Johnny, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I would like to add two things. And those will be for the beginning of the journey. The first one is, it will be great if you can align on a vision, because that way you can set a clear expectation and a clear goal, so that the whole team can see towards it and set boundaries and work toward that goal, so that you as a whole can get there faster. So clear expectations will set the stage for that success. You have to align that vision, and then everything will work down faster and easier to get there because you all know where you're going. And then the second part will be the reference material. It's very important and it's super crucial, and it's not just for new podcasters, but it's also for experienced ones. So new podcasters, you could see somebody that you aspire to be like, or the content that they look like, and you can say, I want us to get there. But if you're an experienced podcaster, what you can do is find the data that tells the most about your most successful podcast, and you can have that as a reference. This is the line that I want to get to. So that reference material will actually become the blueprint for what your desired outcome is going to be. So a vision, a clear vision, and then that reference material to get you over there will be my two extra things for this side.
Awesome. Now, Cody, did your experience with getting those kind of, the outputs that you wanted, how did you end up making sure that you got exactly what you wanted with using Bunny Studio?
I think it's like any other professional relationship. The bottleneck is your communication and how specific it is and how timely it is. So just like any, whether it's an attorney or an accountant or a consultant, anybody who's doing work for you, my recommendation is to be as clear as possible and over communicate in writing. And then you'll find that the first iteration does a much better job matching your expectations than it would have otherwise. And then just like they were saying, establish that rapport. So after the first 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes, then you've got this great workflow. They know what the sequence of the episode is going to be like. They know what you're looking for in the snips, and their ability to make professional suggestions improves because they have a better understanding of who you are and what your goals are and how you want your episodes structured. So it really is a working relationship like anybody else that you have, where you have to communicate. And then once you have that like working relationship and it's strong, then it's just like a self-playing piano. And for me, oh, wow, pretty much perfectly edited episodes and snips are like showing up to the inbox, and I'm just getting everything that I need far in advance of when I need it. And I don't have to think about it. I don't lose any sleep over it. It just happens. And I like that.
Awesome. Now as of course I'm not, for some reason the background's not showing up, but that's okay. My next question really is just, associated kind of with just cost, because obviously when you are doing everything by yourself, your cost is time, right? That is what you're spending your money on, is time and everything like that. But what are the costs associated with using something like Bunny Studio?
Yeah, so I would say it's important to frame it and from a cost conversation to a value conversation. And for me, in the nature of my business, time is really important. And there's lots of things that I need to be spending my time and attention on that are much higher in use value than editing. So in terms of cost, like there's lots of different plans. I think that they can speak better to like what their different menu is and ways that people can structure engagements with them. But for me, it's just an overwhelming cost savings. My time is worth a lot more than the painful, poor job that I would be doing editing it myself. And the level of professionalism, the fact that everything that we publish, we're proud to have my name on personally, and then our brand associated with personally. It's just overwhelmingly valuable.
Awesome. I mean, Jonathan, Maria, can you kind of speak to what the average cost is for using Bunny Studio services?
Yeah. If it really depends, because we have, like Cody said, different plans. So it all depends on the recurrency that you have and the amount of content that you produce. So if you produce one episode per month, it's very different as if you produce one episode per week. And also, what are the services, or what I like to tell my clients is like, what is the mix and match that you want to do? Because it all depends if, for example, you want to focus on audio production, or if you actually want to focus fully on social media, like you want to create with your episodes, with your videos, content for social media. So that really depends. And what I think was key to what Cody said was that you invest, but you also see the return of investment really quickly, because you will be using that time, for example, to either communicate with other brands, try to partnership and try to create those partnerships with labels or with other brands that you're looking for to represent. And that really helps when you have all like a huge team just working behind the scenes, creating that content that is allowing you to increase your audience and increase your engagement. And for that will allow you to have more brands interested in participating and just being represented by you in your podcast. So I say it's everything about mix and matching. We align to every budget. So we have from podcasters that are starting their journey and they just want to produce a lot of different small contents from one episode per month, to other podcasters that are just doing one episode per week. And you kind of see the different sides on each one of them. And I think, Brian, right now would be like a really good time to bring up the social media sample that we have that we did for Sarah. That's a really good one where we can see kind of the amazing things that we do for social media and that increase that engagement that everyone is looking for right now.
Awesome. Let's throw it. Hold on 1 second.
Business, like a high growth business, it's like, everything's going good, and then hits the fan. Like the decisions are really obvious. Like when you're running a company, you know intuitively what needs to be done. And anytime I delayed executing on a decision, it just causes so much trouble.
We have unicorn founders and funders, and it's about that point, that inflection point that is so critical. You have a short window to execute, and you need to do it with some sort of precision. And you talk about leaning into your gut feeling a lot. How did you find over the years you were able to sharpen that feeling to, like you said, the decision, this is important. The decision you need to make, you already know. That's what you said just now.
Yeah.
How do you lean into your gut feelings?
Awesome.
So I think that, this is like a really cool example because you can see what is the next level that you can get your content to be. And you can see that kind of really fun and engaging social media kind of small trailer that really gets people's attention. So it's one thing to have that amazing podcast and that amazing interview, but how do you get from that to that people want to watch it? So that is where this kind of production comes in. And then we have another one where we actually worked with a podcaster that was talking a little bit about Mr. Beast. And I think that is a good one also, Brian, to show here.
Yep.
So here you can see this is actually a podcast, basically only with sound and a little bit of background music. But what we did is that we worked on everything on the video side. So you make it engaging. So people that are actually watching it on YouTube, they are engaged with the video and the content that you're showing. And it's lots like fun transitions and lettering just to make it more appealing to the audience. So I think that it's really interesting and you can test different things. You can test different strategies. And like I said, we adjust to the budget and we adjust to what the professional at the end of the day wants to get. So this is a little bit of what we have done.
Yeah. And you all did the thumbnail too, right? Or you just did the editing?
Exactly. Yes. The thumbnail was also something that we add. So it's really cool because we, of course, share different options. But at the end of the day, the podcaster really selected kind of this really bright colors to gather a little bit more of the attention of the audience that is just scrolling through YouTube. So yeah, this is a little bit what we do.
What I love about this one is that it is not a talking head. That is the one thing I love about this one, is that because a lot of times what ends up happening is you'll get podcasters who, when you tell them, oh yeah, you might want to do video, they immediately go, oh, I don't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
But I mean, this right now, what we're looking at is just kind of a sample of this, but the full like half-hour one is just audio with this B-roll, with these graphics, with this really high-pace editing that is doing the work of making what may have been a very long conversation, a long discussion on a topic, just more engaging. And I love that, because I know audio podcasters, the minute you say video, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. But this is really good.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of podcasters, they are a little bit kind of afraid when they talk about kind of being with the camera and interacting with the camera, and they don't feel comfortable. And we understand 100%. Like, for example, me, I'm not into cameras. I'm right now like trying to, like we said, Brian, stick into the little square that we have and not move a lot. Cody here has more experience than I do, 100% in front of cameras. But if you don't have and you don't feel comfortable, there are other things that you can try. Like, you don't have to be limited or just put like this huge wall in front of you and say, no, I don't want to do anything related to video because I don't feel comfortable. You can do this and still have like that amazing presence in YouTube.
Awesome. Well, we talked a little bit about, short form, and we talked a little bit about, these sort of trailers. One of the things that I think any podcaster, whether they're doing, whether they're doing something like, a long form podcast, or if they're doing video or anything like that, is the importance of having a trailer of some kind. Now, could you all speak to, I know I'm kind of doubled here, but I kind of have to have all four of you there. Could you all speak to kind of the importance and what are the critical elements of a podcast trailer type of video? And Johnny, I don't know if you want to go first.
All right. For this one, I think there are three main things that ties like a story, and then two extra little things that I want to leave you with. So the first one in this short form format will be a hook. We right now live in a world that is bombarded and is fighting for our attention, meaning that if you don't grasp your audience attention in a split second, they will take that attention to the next best thing. So the first thing you need to do is a compelling and spectacular hook that's not optional. It's going to be your best chance to get their attention. Then when you get their attention, you need to have a clear message. And here it's important to bring it down to the essentials. And your podcast, it might be a 15-minute something, or 30 minutes, or an hour, or there are people like Ali Abdal, he will go up to 2 hours on his deep dive video podcast. But in here, you need to bring it down to the essentials. So just clarity and brevity are going to be your best friends. And then you need to have a call to action, because it's not enough to get their attention and then bring them with your message and just leave them wondering. You need to get their attention and tell them where to go. So you need to have a clear and actionable call to action. You need to guide them to where you want them to do next. Those is like the first three steps. And then there's two things that I want to leave you with. Is the first one, I'm pretty sure you've heard of it. It's the KISS. It's just keep it simple and short. That will be it. Just simple and short. That will be better than trying to get their attention for a longer span of time. And then the other one is you have to have great audio quality. People will forgo bad video quality because they could have the video in the second screen and they can still working or something and they'll be listening to it. But if the audio is not good, you're going to be losing people. So audio quality is going to be massive when you're trying to get your people's attention and bring more people and engage with your content.
I love that. I think so many people, when you talk about video, the first thing they go immediately with is, well, my video has to be great. And it's like, but no, you don't understand. People will forgive bad video. Like right now, I'm sure people are going to forgive the fact that I am doubled. But if my audio was garbage, they would not. And so I think that's important. Now, Johnny, I think you have a couple examples too of some really great trailers, right?
Yes, sir. So I have two actually. The first one is going to be the KISS, keep it short and simple. This is Coleman Hughes, just straight to the point. It tells you what to do, and just take a look at that.
Hi, my name is Coleman Hughes, and I'm starting a brand new podcast called Conversations with Coleman. I'll invite writers, journalists, and public intellectuals to discuss and debate the topics and ideas that matter most. Thanks for your support, and stay tuned for Conversations with Coleman.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
That's right to the point.
Well, it's right to the point. And then on top of that, you don't have the person sitting there with a microphone. It's all audio. It's using visuals. And it's doing it in a way that honestly gets the point across in the shortest amount of time. And you have your clear call to action, right? Go subscribe. I've got this new show launching. I love that so much. Thoughts from you guys on that trailer?
Yeah. Now, if we can go to the other side, if you already have a presence and you already have a reputation and you have a broad audience and they know what you do, well, you can take advantage and you can have a little more time to show them even more and just get more of their attention, because you're not fighting to get that attention. You already have it. So you can just show them even more of what they want. And this is the case of Bill Gates. So this is the other one. If we could just roll it for a minute.
Yep.
When you're learning about something, it's important to let yourself be confused, to acknowledge, I don't really get how these pieces work together. And then it's so much fun when they start to make sense. And I call that getting unconfused.
We scientifically proved that people retain information better from celebrities than doctors.
Wow. Let's talk about AI.
It explained it.
Oh, yeah. It's so good at that.
I couldn't sleep. I was just having these in the rabbit hole conversations.
You'd think, given how prevalent Alzheimer's is in our society,
mental health, all that is like people don't like to talk about.
They're still afraid to talk about it.
I can now read Chinese like a 3-year-old, and that's taken 10 years.
This is what you call prime stunting.
Hopefully I've unconfused you.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Definitely. Well, it was fantastic to have you here and talk about Alzheimer's and pop.
Exactly.
Subscribe to Unconfuse Me wherever you listen to podcasts.
Oh, man.
Amazing.
You're right. As going with the other side of it, you've got a full studio set, you've got microphones, you've got celebrities, you've got clips from the show. And the thing though is that, at least for me, I see similarities even with something that's really high quality like that, between the very simple audio only with some graphics here and there, and even Bill Gates. Like, I see those similarities, and that speaks to the work that you all at Bunny Studio do.
Yeah, I mean, the great idea and the best thing that you can have when you outsource this kind of stuff is that you can rely on experts to make you look like an expert. You can leverage on their experience on these hard skills to make you look great to your audience, so that you can focus on the other stuff that really matters to you, is your storytelling. So if you do that, you can be paired in audio quality or video quality with these amazing people, because those skills can be learned. But being authentic and being your true self and improving your storytelling, that's something that you have to do on your own. And that's why you need to get your time back.
Yeah. I'd like to ask, obviously, Cody, did you use Bunny Studio for the creation of your trailer for your podcast at all?
Yeah, so Bunny Studio helped with the trailer, but we had already had a summit previously. So I have the MidCon Markup podcast, but that's based on a brand associated with this summit that we host. And so we had a summit and we had a lot of the clips associated with that. And then Bunny Studio helped me piece everything together. But there was already a sizzle reel foundation.
Awesome. Maria, do you want to add anything to kind of the importance of these trailers?
100%. What I have seen that really calls a lot of my attention is that professionals always tell podcasters to be themselves. Like, this is really showcasing you in front of the world and your audience. So you really want to be yourself. You really want to, if there's anything that really highlights from your personality or from the episodes that you're going to publish, to really bring that into that short trailer, it's super important, because that will really make people and audience fall in love with your content and go and follow you and go and subscribe and go and listen to your episodes. So if there's like any advice that I could give, it would be yourself 100%.
Awesome. Absolutely. I think that goes without saying. Like, I mean, you have to be genuine, because you're communicating directly to your potential audience. And they're, that first, even if it's like a 30-second trailer, or in the case of Bill Gates, a 1-minute trailer, I mean, that's the best part of you has to shine in those couple seconds. And it has to be, genuine, and it has to be unique, and it has to be enticing enough to get them to not only just watch the trailer, but then do the other half and go to the actual podcast when it launches. Awesome. So I think I'm going to ask again, if you have questions, please do me a favor. Okay. Put a Q followed by a colon for all questions in the chat. That helps me out. I think we're going to get to a couple questions here that have come in. Okay. Oh, well, first of all, I know that Bunny Studio has a little bit of a discount, right? Because I know one question that I keep seeing come up in the chat. And again, I apologize that it's kind of duplicated video, but point is, I see this all the time. How much is it going to cost? So I think, Maria, you have a special discount for our folks here today, right?
Yes. So actually, we have a special discount that we launched a couple of months ago. And that is for everyone in the Libsyn community. We offer a 20% discount in all of our services. And also, we're offering a 10% discount to everyone that is watching this either live or in the future. So you can scan the QR code. And of course, you can reach out to us. We're going to share our details in a little bit. And yeah, we can help you with whatever you might need.
Awesome. I mean, that's the first question that I saw pop up here, and that's the first one I'm going to bring up here, is when it comes to cost. So let's add this to the chat here, and this is from Life with Llama Healer. What is the cost of producing an episode?
Well, this is a really fun question that I adore. It really depends on for example, the length of the podcast. It's different if you have an episode of 30 minutes or if you have an episode of 45 or an hour. It's different if you want to add, for example, background music, if you want to add sound effects, or if you just want to add a little bit of audio post-production. So it really depends on what you want to do with the content that determines the value. So what I want to be careful at saying is I don't want to just jump into saying that something is basically an X amount. Because it really depends on the content that we receive and what you want us to do with that content. So I don't know, Johnny, if you want to add something else, but I think that it really depends on what the podcaster is looking for.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a lot of flexibility that you will have with your content. It depends on the assets that you're bringing, and then what is it that you want as the output. So as Maria is mentioning, you have a myriad of options to add to your content. And that's why I think it's best just to ask on a case-by-case basis to understand your needs, so we can tailor not only an estimate of cost for your content, but also even create a workflow that is going to help you produce the best content that you can and even scale it looking down the road.
That's good. So it's not a one size fit all. I think that's what I get that you all are saying is just that, depending on what you specifically want to do, it's not going to be like, oh, that's $500. There you go. Flat fee. It's like, well, no, if you only need thumbnail creation You know, that's going to be
Exactly.
different than editing a whole episode, or if you need, you know, editing of a trailer or a social short. I mean, those are all going to be kind of slide scale, which for me personally, that's what I want to hear, because it just means that I can look realistically at my budget and go, yeah, this is something that I can afford now. Or if something like, well, maybe I can dip my toe in the water of outsourcing. You know, I know for me, I can't stand the social media side of marketing your podcast. That is not my favorite part. I like recording, I like editing, I like to actually come up with the content. But like the marketing stuff, oh, I'm not a fan.
No.
And a lot of
And that's where
podcasters
people
feel that
are
way
in.
too.
Like,
Yeah.
exactly. And right now, I think that the interesting part of everything is that everything is marketing. Like, you need to get out there and you need to find a way to get your message and get your podcast to where your audience is going to be. So sometimes it happens organically, and sometimes you need to put that little extra effort into getting the attention that you're looking for, because it's not happening as organically as we all wanted it to be, because there's so much content out there that you, like Johnny said, like you have to fight for that audience and you have to fight for that people and that engagement that you want.
Totally. All right, let's see here. Again, if you have questions at all, let us know in the chat. Okay. And let me just remove this one here. All right, so let's bring up another question here. This is a good one. This is again from Life with Llama. What is the cost of 2 episodes a month with show notes and 1 social reel? Very specific. I love that. Would you on average? I guess that's what Life with Llama Healer is guessing.
Okay, let's say 2 episodes a month with show notes and a social reel. So 2 episodes, Johnny, let's say like audio post-production, general just quality and adding a little bit of effects. And then with a social reel, I mean, I would say that we have a very first plan that is very kind of the start plan that we have. I would say that it would cover that, and also a little bit more, that around, I would say less than $500 for sure. Less than $500 would get you that content, and a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I look at it in terms of, because I know some people are like, oh, $500. I look in terms of just as what you all have been talking about, which is how much time that those things take, right? How much time it goes into making 2 episodes a month with show notes and a social reel and all that stuff. That's a lot of time. I kid you not, it's good we talk about this. I just did that for my own episode last night. And I went into the midnight hour, you know, because that's what I do. But it's something where, you know, if I was getting, you know, ad revenue, or if I had a membership, you know, I could see offsetting that money for something like this. Or at minimum, you know, just the social reel part. You know, maybe the 2 episodes part you've got down, and maybe the show notes part you've got down. But again, as I talk, the marketing part, as we talked about, so important. But it always, at least for me, I always find that it's like the last part you want to do. Like after you've done all the stuff for the episode, you're just like, man, now I got to go make an Instagram reel, and now I got to go do a TikTok, and now I got to go to. So it's like, I think if anything, maybe not doing the entire thing to start out with, but just to start slow and start small.
And also a good thing is that what you can do also if you're starting is just don't commit to a subscription. If you just want to test, and like you said, just put your feet a little bit in the water, you can do on a project on demand base. So with Johnny, for example, he's part of our media team, and we work on a project basis with a lot of podcasters. So what we do is that they first want to try, like you said, a social media content. So we do only that, and we focus on that, and we deliver that, and we charge per project. So that person only has to basically pay on demand for that request and see how it goes. Like, you can see if the return of investment is there, if it's actually getting you the audience and the engagement that you're looking for, and you don't have to commit to a subscription. In this case, for example, Cody, they're actually in a subscription model. They have the recurrency, and they have already that workflow behind the scenes, that machine working. So it really depends on the stage that you're at, and you can do either on a project on demand, or if you want to jump into a subscription model. But we have those two big ways of work, and that really adjusts to the budget that you have. So we're really realistic here. Like, we have people coming to us and saying, hey, this is the budget that I have. I have $50, okay? I have $100. Like, let me know what I can do with that. Like, I need support, I need help, I need to create either an amazing design or an amazing grid for my social media. Let me know what I can do with that. And that is how we really want to take it, like case by case, and understanding the whole of the podcast.
Awesome. I think the flexibility is the big thing for me, and just the ability that you don't have to jump in and do everything outsource, but maybe those elements that are not the most fun, that you can kind of offload. And honestly, like, I think it's worth mentioning that these are real people doing these things. It's not an AI. It's not something that's a one size fit all. You're getting a real professional looking at all of this. And I think that is very important distinction about outsourcing. Because I mean, everyone talks about AI, but it's like, if you've ever tried to use AI for just creative stuff, and you have to like go back and forth, and you never get anything that I'm like, there didn't have to be some sweat equity or human intervention into it to make it work. That's at least my thoughts. But let's go move on to see what other questions we got here. Oh, this is a good one. Again, Life with Llama, you are killing it today. Life with Llama Healer, it says, do you have any stats on engagement of just audio or video? So Johnny, I know Maria said that you're the media, you're involved in media. Do you have any engagement numbers on this? On like what podcasts are audio and video and how they perform?
I think that would be better if Cody can help us with how his content has performed with the engagement, with the help of Bonnie Studio and outsourcing the production.
Sure. Cody, do you want to speak to that, since you have, you're doing a video podcast?
Yeah. So I did quite a bit of research before I chose to do a video podcast. And I was convinced that that engagement is higher, but it also, like, if you're going through the trouble to record the audio, then you may as well try to capture that video too. And it's just a lot more conducive for promotion assets and taking snips. And I think that the snip workflow is probably the highest value add that I have in my relationship with Bunny Studio, because it goes back to my creative tendency to be a perfectionist. And if I had to go through and I had to watch every episode, capture every snip, like, to me, everything is great. But having a professional go through, select the 10 best sound bites that they think are most impactful and most interesting to my audience, and then allowing me to go choose from them what I want to actually go and post, has been really transformative for me. So what I would recommend to anybody, if they're thinking about audio or audio and video, is to definitely do both audio and video. And my preference is to have 2 mics and 3 cameras. And I think that then you can work with professionals like Bunny Studio, who can take the ISO video files and really create the best snips and social media trailers. I think that's the best of all worlds. And it's just so great having Bunny Studio there, helping you make these decisions. Like, they're not trying to get you stuck into a contract that you don't want. They're trying to help you maximize your budget and create a sustainable workflow that really works for you for whatever your needs are, but preferably both audio and video.
Awesome. I think that goes, and I think the other thing too, and it's not a one size fit all type of stat. And I think that's the thing too. I mean, I know personally for me, I have switched to doing video. I did an audio only podcast up until December of last year. So your traction on what is going to work best is going to depend on your niche. It's not going to just be like, oh, well, if you do gardening, a gardening podcast, will going to video versus audio, is that something going to make it, better? You don't know. Like, that's the thing is every niche is different. But I agree with you, Cody, is that if you are recording audio already and you want to use it for marketing purposes, like those snips, like those shorts, like those reels, like a trailer, having video there just makes it easier, in my opinion. Great question. All right, we got a couple in here. Let's see here. This one. How do you handle increased production volume for existing clients? That's a good one. So let's say you've got a client who is working with Bunny Studio, and then instead of doing one episode a month, they now are doing one a week or a couple a week, and you got a month-long thing. How does that work with Bunny Studio on that front?
Well, in that end, the good thing about us is that we can have a dedicated pool of pros that are going to work specifically with clients. And if we see that this client has a huge demand and they need to increase capacity, we can easily outsource and bring more people that are pre-vetted by our quality control people that are going to help ensure that we have the same quality standards for the production. So what we can do is that with us, you can grow as much as you want, and we will keep growing with you, ensuring every time that quality is on point. We will never want to hinder quality just for the sake of growing. So in that end, if we created a specific workflow for you, we create quality standards, we create a brand guideline. If you have video, if we create sound effects for your podcast, we can ensure all of it stays the same, regardless of the amount of people that we need to bring into the team, because at the end of the day, they will all abide by the same guidelines.
That's awesome. I know that's a question that I actually had in my head. I'm glad that Maria brought this up here, is just that when you're working with a traditional freelancer, who may, you just got one person and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing mini episodes, or I'm thinking about adding this. And they're like, well, my bandwidth is pretty much stretched thin. So the fact that, the way that your model is set up, where you're working with multiples and you have these guidelines in place that can be transferred to multiple people so that, there really is no loss of bandwidth, is, I think, a great thing. And again, as we talked about, like, you can have a subscription in place, kind of like what Cody has for repeatable things. Great question.
There's one extra thing right there that I think is valuable, is that even though you keep scaling and more people comes into your team, you will only have to deal with one person. That's be
great.
It. Just one person will be the middleman in between everything. And we will make sure that everything happens perfectly as you want. So you come with an asset and you get out with your deliverable. That's it. We will take care of everything for you. Like the revisions, you can tell us, and then we'll take care of with the pros, and you will get a ready to use deliverable to put on your social media, on the podcast, on YouTube, on anything. So that's another thing. It's hassle-free, it's super easy to use, and we will take care of all of that for you.
Fantastic. Having that one person is important, I think, because you develop a rapport with them, and you get an idea of how their show is made and that sort of thing. That's great. All right, we got more questions here. This is a good one from Stephanie. If you have a talking head video, can you still make my videos pretty? A lot of your examples are folks with really nice sets. I understand that one. I also do a talking head video. Do you folks have some suggestions on that? And what do you tend to do for just talking head style podcasts?
In that front, there are many options. Like, you don't have to have that your head right there in the middle all the time. You can remove yourself. You can have kinetic text in the middle. You can have transitions. You can have stock footage. You can have other images. You can have anything that you want in there. And what you're going to do with that is just enhance the product. Even though you don't even have the best lighting, you can have yourself, and we can remove the background and put something else in the back and just transform your video to make it engaging. So yes, if you only have a talking head video, we can make your video pretty.
Awesome. Always good to know. Cody, you want to add
I would
something?
also say that with a little bit of effort, you can really improve your set and your lighting, and just studying the craft, maximizing your budget with whatever your camera is. There's a way that with a very small amount of money, your setup can look extremely professional.
Fantastic. That's just good to know, because again, a lot of people, you look on YouTube, you see podcasters who are doing video and they get apprehensive because they're like, oh, well, I don't have a giant set. I don't have anything like that. I'm not Bill Gates. And that's okay. That's okay. Because, I think it all comes down to content. I think that's the one thing that, whether you're doing audio or video, if your content is amazing, it doesn't matter how low tech your setup is, and that's I think the key there. All right. So we got some more questions here. These are great. All right. So this one I'm going to put up here again from Llama Healer. What platform are you recording in? Cody, we use Zencaster, but it's only one camera. So I think, Cody, that's to you about how you are recording your podcast.
Yeah, so I'm recording everything. So my audio interface is the Rodecaster Pro, Rodecaster Pro 2, and then my video interface is the ATEM Pro Mini. And so I'm just recording everything through there, have my external hard drive plugged into the ATEM, and then I have a memory card in the Rode, and then I take the audio straight out of the Rodecaster, and I just feel like it's better that way. I also have it jerry-rigged so that it syncs to the external hard drive, but I prefer to keep the audio separate. And then I upload the 3 ISO audio files plus the 3 ISO video files plus the 2 mics, and then from there, Bunny Studio takes care of everything else.
Fantastic. I know there's honestly a million different ways that you could record a video podcast. I mean, that's one way. Me, I've used OBS Studio, I've used Ecamm Live, there's a million different ways. You can use Riverside. I think the big takeaway is recording isolated tracks. The big takeaway is recording isolated video tracks, isolated audio tracks. That way, the folks over at Bunny Studio can do their magic to put that episode together. So I hope that answers your question there.
Yeah, just give them the rawest possible assets and let the pros be pros.
All right, I'm going to throw this question up because we have talked about it. Will the discount link and Bunny Studio link be added at the end? I have to drive now, so we'll come back later. Thanks for a great time. Yes, we have the coupon code, the QR code right here. It pops up there, and then I believe we will also have the link in the chat itself. We'll make sure to also put that in the description of the video once it's out and once it's live. So yes, they will still be active. Okay. All right. Let's see here if we have any other questions here. This is a good one here, just to kind of put it there. How can they reach you all?
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Well, you can reach us either by jumping into the website. You will see that there's a chat. We have a 24/7 chat. So anyone from our support team can just contact them and we will be there. Also, you can reach out to us. My personal email, really easy, like my name, maria@bunnystudio.com. You can reach out to me directly and I'll be happy to help. Like I said, it all depends on what you want to do. How we can help you is kind of the big takeaway of today. We manage all kinds of budgets. So don't get freaked out or don't be scared to ask how much it might cost because we really want to deliver the best content, but we also understand that everyone has their own budgets and limits. So really just reach out and we'll be happy to help. And like Johnny said, take case by case, take the time to actually study that case and work with you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I know that I believe our team just put the contacts in the chat here, so that'll be there.
Amazing.
We'll make sure that's there as well. fantastic. This has honestly been an amazing live. I'm sorry that our technical issues had to happen. But hey, that's the beauty of doing live streams, right? Is that you never know what's going to happen. Like me,
My
myself,
dog
being
didn't bark
duplicated.
today.
What was that?
My dog didn't bark today. She
Your dog
actually
didn't bark.
slept
My
the
live
whole-
streaming stuff decided to go on the fritz. But no, I think this subject is so important because I know that burnout is a real thing with podcasters, and I think part of it is because we, Cody, you brought it up. We're perfectionists. We want our podcast to be a certain way. We want it to look and sound and have the feel. But it's one of those things that if the perfect is the enemy of the good, so to speak, then, are you really serving yourself? Are you really serving your audience if you're not learning when to let go with certain things and look at people like Bunny Studio to outsource to make your show as good as it can, but also, just give you back some time. So thank you all again. Just some final thoughts before we wrap up here from you folks.
Well, from my end, I would say that all the podcasters that I've worked with, you all want to do it all. And that is really I just take my hat. You want to do it all and you want to manage everything. And like Brian was saying, you want everything to be perfect. But there comes a time when you really have to ask for support, ask for help. And it's totally fine to do that. And that is where we can come in and basically help you get that content to the next level. So don't be afraid to just ask for help or ask for support if it's becoming too much. And if you want to do more things and you want to get your network out there and you want to make those phone calls to those brands, but you just don't have the time right now. So that would be my takeaway.
Awesome. Jonathan, Cody, your final thoughts?
Yeah. Go, Cody.
Yeah. I would say just don't have any hesitation about starting a conversation with a Bunny Studio. They're really good people. They're great professionals. But this only works for them if it works for you. And so you can start small. You can build up. They can help you have professional elements on some small things, help you develop momentum, and then circle back later. And you can, as your podcast becomes more successful, then you can add more and more to your package so that you can have better B-roll, you can have better intros, more developed trailers, better social media assets. And they just really want to help you, and they want this to be a long-term partnership. So don't hesitate to have that initial conversation.
Awesome. And Jonathan, final thoughts?
Thank you. Just be mindful that you don't have unlimited time, and you need to be very specific on what you do with it. There are some things that you can delegate, but there are some things that you can't. Your storytelling, your craft, your networking, that's things that you have to do on your own. The other things, you can let other people that are already experts do that for you. So be jealous of your time, invest it strategically on what is going to move the needle for your content, and deliver the best thing for your audience. Become the better yourself that you can.
Great comments to lead on. This has been great. And of course, just kind of to wrap up things here, if you haven't done so, this is important. Definitely go to Bunny Studio right now. There's the QR code right there. Scan that, get your discount. 10% off for folks who are not with Libsyn and 20% off for folks who are with Libsyn. Is that correct? 10 and 20? Yep.
Yes, you got it.
Awesome. Yeah. So definitely, again, scan that QR code and go there and get, that discount on your first, bit of services there. Just to kind of wrap up things going on here on the Libsyn front, make sure that you are hitting the subscribe button. Okay. Please hit the subscribe button. Okay. That helps us, our channel out. Hit the notification bell, hit the like, hit all that fun stuff so that you never miss a piece of content that comes this way. And remember, come back here next week, July 31st. That's where we're going to be talking about getting your podcast seen on YouTube and Spotify, July 31st at 2 p.m. right here on the Libsyn channel. And with that said, My name is Brian Coddington, and thank you all, and we will see you next time.